Welcome back to 1 Million Pumpkins Ranch for more public displays of homesteading. So it seems like I ought to give an update on these sunken basin gardens. Originally, this was being used as a driveway to pull around. Haven't been using it for that as much lately. Right now, we have this fence kind of on there to keep the poultry from scratching it up. But they are decapitating the asparaguses, and the asparaguses are full of weeds. We did go ahead and dump a lot of sheep beans in the front because the chickens dug down almost a foot deep. So that is the first basin. The second basin has my birthday plum tree, and it is fully leafed out. Now this has the watering tube. It gets that watering tube filled once a week currently. It did bloom. I don't know if it's gonna... I don't really want for it to make fruit, even if it can. The first year it should work on its roots. And I even put some branches at the base to keep the birds from digging it up. The poly rope keeps the dog out of here, but not the birds. This next one, it has a snapped off stake. These step-in stakes, I would not recommend the white ones at all. They break very easily, as a side note, but this was just as deep as the others, like 2.5 feet deep, filled with kitchen waste and cardboard and litter, and layered with some native soil. And yep, the chickens have been doing their chicken tractor composting on top of it. It has never been planted. And there's our dirt pile. In 23, we made this little memorial garden for Matt's grandma, but nothing wanted to grow that first year, so I have not been attending to this basin garden since the birds went free range. So here's another double dug composting in the ditch. It raised some food, but it's been fallow for an entire year. Here's another one. Now these ones, when we first rented the skid steer to flatten our pad, we went ahead and augured compost holes that are supposed to be tree holes. That first year in 22, we did plant elderberries, but the rodents ate them. But this little apricot, I believe this is going to be its third year. What a pretty little guy. And there's a swale that I started when we first got here and have not made progress on because I started working on the rabbit garden, and then I got the yard garden, and in the distance is the berm that was scraped on contour, growing a hardy crop of tumbleweeds. So eventually the goal is to fence off this entire basin area and ultimately the entire contour area that we call the Smile Garden. But for today, I'm going to be renovating the asparagus bed. So first I'm going to have to temporarily move these stakes, remove the cinder blocks and the hardware cloth, and then I'm going to weed and I'll check back in with you. And here is the finished product of how the three of us fixed up this asparagus bed in the deep dish lasagna planting basin. And now you can distinctly see how the asparagus is doing quite well. It was neglected for an entire year. All this bed got was more sheep litter and laundry gray water. And still we've got spears coming up from, looks like 5 out of the 6 plants. And look at that fat purple one. Sorry, Fleeter Meowser, you're not invited to dig holes and use this as your toilet. And the reason we needed to install, as you know, the stakes and the chicken wire is to keep the poultry out. They dig dust wallows. They hunt for grubs. So needs to be protected. And Matt pruned the plum. He chopped that apical leader so that we can get more growth down low in the plant and establish the roots. We're not trying to get fruit, it's its first year here. I've rolled up all of the polyline because there's no active composting going on anymore. This basin had the last of it. So it's got 2 feet of kitchen waste and volunteer compost, like pack rats and mice that fell into buckets of water. Down here, Matt also gave the apricot a bit of a prune. And I don't see any sign of fruit set. It did go in full flower and then got frostbitten. So that is the update on how the basin garden is growing. Ultimately, we do want to poultry exclude this entire area, but for now, it's going to go an as needed basis, like getting rid of the poultries that want to eat all of our asparagus. And for this year, I plan on planting some lettuces or maybe some squash just to keep some more roots growing on the front end of this basin and giving it a lot more TLC. So thanks so much for joining us here on the homestead. Don't forget to mulch that like button. Cheers and blessings.